Okay, this week in social, we are going to talk a little bit more about Hoyanehs, which is another way of saying chief in the Iroquois Confederacy. And we're just going to do a quick review of clan mothers. So you should have traced already or printed out this copy or this outline of the person. And you should have all of your colors ready, okay, so that we can do some SCART or social art. Okay, so before we start that, I'm just going to do a quick review of the clan mothers. So these slides, there were 9 animal clans from the water, the air, and the land. And there was a clan mother in charge of every single clan. So the clan mothers were the ones who owned the longhouses and ran the families. And if you remember from that first week, we also found out that clans just mean they're part of an extended family. So women were so important because they gave birth to the next generation, and also because they did all of the farming and technically owned all the food. So that meant if the men made them angry, technically the women could hold all the food back from them. So they always showed a lot of respect for the women who did all the farming and owned all of the land. And to become a clan mother, you had to pass that position down to the next eldest relative in your family. That could be a sister, that could be a daughter, that could be a cousin, okay? So that's how the clan mothers got their job. But we also know that one of the really important jobs of a clan mother was to pick the chief or to pick the Hoyaneh. And when they were doing that, they always thought about 7 really important traits for a leader. So even if you think about what would be really important for a leader to have, usually you think, okay, they're smart, they know what they're doing, and they're fair is another great leadership skill. But there was actually exactly 7 specific things that the clan mother looked for, and that is what we are going to add to our Hoyaneh. So I'm just going to open up the ladybug here. So you should have your nice little outline here, and we're going to start right at the bottom. And just underneath the feet, you can just write in all capitals so we know exactly what we are putting here, Hoyaneh. Okay. And right beside that, you can put a couple of notes. So something that's really important about the Hoyaneh and their job. This is just another way of saying chief. Okay. Something else that would be important there. They're chosen by the clan mother. And lastly, a big job of the Hoyaneh was to represent their clan or nation at the Grand Council. So we might need a little bit more room here. So we start back here. Okay, so if you need to pause it for a second here so that you can get these notes down, go ahead and do that. I'm just going to keep going otherwise. So the first, drawings by Ms. Smith, we're going to add for symbols. I'm going to add 7 symbols to our Hoyaneh outline here that kind of represent the different things that the clan mother looked for when they were picking one. And this first one's going to look like a giant gob of bubble gum, but it's supposed to look like a brain. So I'm going to make it really big so I can fit my writing in there. And because he's just so smart. Okay, so that's my really nice brain. Okay, so if you can think about maybe what that means, you're probably thinking, oh, okay, the clan mother is obviously hoping they're smart. But if you're thinking more specific to the Iroquois, they're actually looking for someone who's really knowledgeable about traditional ceremonies. Okay, so think about all the different ceremonies, the dances, the traditions. Those were all really important things for the Iroquois. So it was important that their leader or chief was really knowledgeable. So knowledge of traditional ceremonies. Okay, so you can fit it in there as best as you can. So the first symbol is a brain or gum to show knowledge of traditional ceremonies. Right next to that, the second symbol or the second thing that the clan mother is going to look for, you can put a thinking bubble. Okay, so you could think about what that symbol might mean for what you would look for in a leader. And symbol is going to represent the ability to think clearly. So that might seem kind of like a silly thing to consider, but if you look back to the cartoon that we watched with Tadadaho, he was really not thinking clearly. He was totally obsessed with war and didn't really think clearly about what would be best for his people because he was so obsessed with war and getting more power, and he was totally blinded by power. So he wasn't really a great leader because he didn't have the ability to think clearly. So that's something that's really important as well. Okay. We're going to come down here for our third symbol, or the third thing that the clan mother looks for. The nice big heart. And no, it doesn't mean love. But what it does mean is they're looking for somebody who is honest and kind-hearted. Sounds like a pretty good thing you would want in a leader. Then we're going to add a fourth symbol just up over here. It's going to be kind of like a loud, pointy-looking speech bubble coming off the side here. So let's biff it up with some more colors. I know my class is really going to love all the color going into this. Okay, so the reason I chose to have this speech bubble look so pointy is because it's supposed to be like someone's mad. So if you remember about how they made decisions in the Iroquois Confederacy, it was through consensus. And consensus means that everybody has to agree to a decision. So if you think about even trying to get everybody to agree to what we're going to play in gym class, it's really tough with even just 28 students. So it was actually really tough to do in the Iroquois Confederacy when they were making decisions as well. So you have to think of, as a leader, one of the things they definitely needed to have the ability to do was the ability to withstand criticism. And criticism just means when people don't agree with you, they might say, I don't agree with you, here's why. So when you are making decisions using consensus, there's going to be a lot of people with different perspectives, and they might criticize the ideas that you have. So it's really important in a leader of the Iroquois for somebody to listen to that criticism and not just get upset, but to actually think, okay, maybe there's an important point here. Maybe you have a good idea of how I can change my thinking so that everybody's happy. So ability to withstand criticism was a really important skill of a leader, and which can sometimes be really challenging for people. So those are our first four. Okay, we're going to come down to this hand here, and this is where my drawing gets really interesting. Okay, I'm going to try to draw a hand reaching out to this hand. You know, some of you have much better artistic skill than I do. Oh, that's a big thumb. Ooh. Okay, so he's reaching out to another hand. One of the skills they look for, because the clan system was so important and they really wanted people to stand up for people within their family, loyalty to family was a big one that they looked for. Okay. And if you remember, the peacemaker made the clan system to begin with so that people would be really peaceful. So having loyalty to family and maintaining that peace was important. Okay, we'll scooch on over to the other hand. And on this hand, I'm just going to give him a really sweet tattoo of a peace sign. I bet you can guess where this is going. And we'll maybe put him with a really big box. You can get fancy if you want, make it 3D. Okay, so if you think about what this might mean, they wanted a leader who could uphold the great law of peace. So that meant making sure that they maintained that peace with all of the other nations in the Iroquois. They didn't want anybody breaking the law of peace that they had worked so hard to build. So this one is the ability to uphold the great law of peace. Okay, and that was our 6th one. Remember I said there were 7, so we started with knowledge of traditional ceremonies, the ability to think clearly. They needed to withstand criticism, which was really important. They needed to be honest and kind-hearted. They had to have loyalty to family and the ability to uphold the great law of peace. So for the last symbol that we're going to add on here, let's zoom out a little bit. We're going to put a crowd of people behind our person that's standing here. So you don't have to do this perfectly. You just draw shoulders, big round head, more shoulders, and just kind of fill up the space. So that's my crowd of people standing behind there. And what these last people represent is the ability to represent the people fairly. So just like we want in a leader, we want our leaders to represent us fairly, and that's what they look for in a leader as well. Okay, so those were the big 7 that the clan mother would look for in a Hoyaneh. Okay, so they would also discuss with the people of the clan who they think would make a good chief. And just kind of like I said to you guys, we give people their jobs in government and we can also take them away. That was the same with the clan mother. So if she chose a chief that was not doing even one of these things, so maybe they weren't really good at withstanding criticism, but they did everything else, or they weren't very loyal to family, but they did everything else, then the clan mother could then take that chief's position away. If they aren't doing all 7 of these things, the clan mother would say, we'll pick somebody else to do it. Okay, so these 7 are all very important to the clan mother. Alrighty, guys, good luck with your assignment, and hopefully you enjoyed some SCART